To complete 100% of Cult of the Lamb, I'm going to have to ascend from a scared little lamb to nothing short of a god. I'll fight fearsome bosses, convince every type of follower to join my world domination, and even make my way through purgatory. Was starting my own cult part of my plan for this year? No, not really. But it was an incredible experience, so let's jump right in. Before the game even begins, I'm thrown in a room with these 4 goons, who watch as I'm forced to let evil Pumbaa finish me off with an axe. But just as it happens, I'm saved by another creepy creature in chains. He turns out to be the one who waits, and explains that the other 4 goons are called bishops, and that they put him here and he wants revenge. So he kind of offers me a choice. I can live again, but in doing so, I must create a cult in his name. Yes, sir, absolutely. Okay. I'm granted powers through this spiffy hat and sent on my way. I'll be playing through the game on hard mode to make sure I have a decent challenge while also still being able to make good progress. I'm presented with a little plot of land for my cult to grow, and as any good cult leader or internet troll knows, the more people that support you, the stronger you become, so I start out by indoctrinating my first follower. I'm presented with several customization options from choosing his name, form, color, and variant. He also has locked traits that can't be changed. 15% harder to level up because he's cynical. Work and devotion generation speed reduced by 10. You're a terrible devotee. I accept Thor as he is and welcome him to the club. I choose for him to chop wood and am greeted by Ratatouille, who tells me that my followers must eat to survive. I gather the other resources to be able to build a cooking fire so that I can prepare meals for my followers. Upon building the fire, a hunger meter appears in the top right of the screen to represent my cult's overall hunger level. I gather berries and cook my first meal. Basic berries. 1 star, 15% chance of the follower pooping instantly. Doesn't sound pleasing. After completing a very quick cooking event, the meal is ready. Greeted again by Ratatouille, he instructs me to build a shrine, but he says that I'll need more followers and gold, so he directs me to embark my first crusade. I'm shown 4 different doors, each eventually leading to a bishop who I've been tasked with slaying. With the help of Thor, I open up the first door and set out on my very first crusade, into Darkwood. I get 2 hearts and I grab my starting blade and the dungeon crawl begins. Moving from room to room, fighting enemies, collecting resources, and pulling tarot cards from Clowneck that grant me power for the duration of the crusade. On first meeting him, I select a card that grants an extra spirit heart, and we unlock 15 of the possible 43 tarot cards to be able to pull from. To get 100%, I'll eventually have to collect them all, but for now, let's just focus on tackling the first dungeon. I make my way through the first floor and reach a Slay the Spire-esque room where I get to pick my path between several different options, with all paths ultimately leading to a final boss floor. And eventually I come to this room. Ooh, what is this? What's going on? Oh, it's the bishop. Uh-oh. But Leshy was scared of this little lamb and ran, leaving me to fight a mini-boss, Amdusius, who is a big, gross worm. He had a short charge attack and acid projectiles, but they were no match for this little lamb and his sword. After beating him, I taught him the error of his ways and convinced him to join my club. I was rewarded with a big chest filled with gold, and upon entering the next room, a quarter of a circle lights up on the locked door, and I'm left with no option but to return home, ending my first crusade, and bringing us to the run overview screen. So no damage from boss bonus, plus 20% on new items. I welcome a new member into the cult. Ooh, ignores dissenters when they preach, and then 15% easier to level up. I like you already. Nah, you're not gonna be Hatry. You're gonna be Patty. I construct a shrine for my followers to worship at, and then I'm granted a new follower whose job it is to worship at the newly built shrine, which generates devotion. When collected, devotion unlocks divine inspiration, which are used to unlock new buildings and things for my cult. The first unlock being a temple. Body pit? Oh, my followers can die? And they can and will in fact die. After building the newly unlocked temple, a new meter appears on the screen representing my cult's faith. In the temple, I perform a sermon which generates another type of upgrade currency, which allows me to unlock upgrades that increase my strength on crusades. Using devotion, I unlock farming plots, and I build and place seeds in 4. This should help make sure I have a steady supply of food for my children, and then it was time to head out for another crusade. This time, instead of a sword, I get an axe. It's slower to swing, but packs a much bigger punch. Something tells me the one who waits is pleased, which grants access to curses for me to use during my crusades. The first one acquired is a long-range projectile shot, which can be used throughout a run with fervor that enemies now drop. I pull another tarot card which grants 1.25 attack speed, making the axe much faster to use. Overall weapon damage increased by 1.2. While progressing through dungeons, I will always prioritize moving towards followers, since they are going to be the key to both devotion and faith unlocks. So the more that I have brainwashed, the faster I will get upgrades. I stumble on a room that conveniently grants 3 pieces of a commandment stone to create a full stone, which we will use later. And then I make my way to the boss room. Valiar is a bit harder than the last boss, with a few trickier moves. Oh, hello. Oh no, I got hit. Oh no, this is awful. Ultimately, I make short work of him, welcome him to the cult, and go home with a second quarter of the door lit up. Oh, look at all this. Why, thank you, my children. I use my new inspiration to unlock the farming bundle, which will allow my followers to water my seeds for me while I'm away on godly business. I welcome 2 new gullible Gusses into the cult and set them both to worship. With devotion being a key resource for unlocking new upgrades, I think it makes quite a bit of sense to focus on it heavily for a while. Then it was time to use my commandment stone from earlier to declare a new doctrine. Bonfire ritual. Dance around the flame to increase the cult's faith. This is the first of many rituals that will be unlocked, but for now it was time for another sermon. Bane weapons have a chance of poisoning enemies when attacking. They will appear on your crusades. Or 3 new curses will appear on your crusades. Like, I think my comfort choice would be weapons, but I'm going to go out of my comfort zone here. As the cult members pass out on the ground, it was time to head out on our next crusade. Shoots multiple projectiles that seek out enemies. That's it. Oh, we can get both. Shink, 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 shink. The dagger is probably my least favorite weapon so far due to its short range, but it's not terrible either. I collect tarot cards, recruit a new follower, harvest resources, ditch the dagger for an axe, and eventually make it to the next mini-boss, Barbados. He actually had a pretty easy attack pattern, bury, attack, with his attacks being either acid spray or ground spikes. I make incredibly light work of him and recruit him to the team, which also unlocks the 3rd section of the door. I should be able to take on Leshy on the next run. The game may be on hard, but the boss was incredibly easy, granting an extra 20% on new items for taking no damage. Returning to the cult, I collect devotion and finally unlock beds for my followers. They lose faith if they're forced to sleep on the ground, so each follower will eventually need a place to sleep, and regrettably this takes me a while to realize, so we will have followers sleeping on the ground for a lot longer than I care to admit. I build 2 beds directly on top of my followers and wake them up while trying to build the beds. I welcome Chicken Little and Barbados into the cult, assigning 1 more to worship me. Alright, I rescued you, you're gonna go ahead and worship me. Thor begs me for a meal, so I harvest the berries that I planted, I place a few more farming plots to feed my faithful crew, and while looking for a stone to mine to craft a silo, I come across a giant pile of poop. Cleaning it up provides the 3rd and final meter in the top right, cleanliness. Having gross things around the cult decreases the bar, leading to illness or death of cult members. I build a silo which allows me to store seeds for my followers to plant while I'm gone, and I assign Vale to do some farming. Hey, he's planting, let's go, my friend. Siphoning enough devotion for another upgrade, I unlock a temple upgrade, allowing me to collect more devotion at one time, and unlocking a second row of upgrades to unlock. It's so cute and horrifying at the same time. Noticing my cult's hunger is low, I cook a few meat dishes and a berry bowl. Theon tells me it's time to name the cult. If I had a cult, what would it be called? You know, we're just one big crazy club here. Definitely not a cult. Barbados tells me if food gets tight, I can cook grassy gruel and gives me a quest to do so. But I used all of my grass on farming plots, so it's time to head back out to collect some more. Starting the next run, I'm greeted by Leshy, who tells me to meet him in his temple to end our feud. I grab a pretty cool tentacle curse and axe and dive right in, ripping the opponents to shreds. Wow, ripped them to shreds, let's go. I make my way through the dungeon floors, brainwashing a follower, meeting a creepy fishman that invites me to fish at Pilgrim's Passage, who I briefly try to kill, a merchant room, and to the boss floor where I'm finally able to enter Leshy's door. Leshy tells me that he's tired of me, so he sacrifices his followers to transform into a giant ugly worm, and the fight is on. He summons several extra monsters into the battle, so I start killing them while trying to learn his attack pattern. Okay, and then berry. Now swing, swing, swing. Nice. Things are going pretty well, at least until I get him to half health. Oh, that's a fully around one. How do I get away from it? Oh, but I quickly learned that move as well, and I'm able to kill the first bishop. which grants a Heart of the Heretic, a full tablet, and lots of gold. Returning to the cult, my followers are super excited about me returning with a heart. I siphon devotion and use the divine inspiration to unlock a stone mine, because I will eventually run out of resources to continue building or improving the cult, so a mine should help with that. I cook a grassy gruel for Barbados. Theon tells me that he wants somewhere to sleep, so I build 2 more sleeping bags and a rock mine. I welcome an 8th member into the crazy club, and then noticing sanitation was low, I went on a hunt to find where they're pooping at. After cleaning up a serious amount of waste, I give a quick sermon on not pooping all over the place, complete a kind of creepy bonfire ritual, but they seemed happy. I put in place a new doctrine where I chose law and order, and I'm given a choice, in which you can ascend a follower's spirit to a higher plane of existence, or murder. Unlock the murder option. Follower action. Oh, a simple solution to many problems, but some followers may find this upsetting if they're awake to witness it. Oh my god. I choose the Ascend follower option. Then, using the heart from Leshy, I claim the Darkness Within, which grants an extra diseased heart at the start of each Crusade run. I read a blessing to Barbados and his friends, which increases their loyalty. Barbados levels up, becoming more brainwashed by my teachings, which grants me bonus devotion and a commandment stone fragment for enacting additional laws. I unlock and then build a lumberyard, and then harvest berries as my followers finish constructing the lumberyard. Well, almost. It becomes night and they go to bed. I finish off the construction, throw several berry bowls on the ground for my followers to eat in the morning, and then head to the lonely shack that I just unlocked. I crush Ratau at some knucklebones, which grants me a new tarot card to find during Crusades. I then steal his berries and devotion before heading to Pilgrim's Passage, where I meet the most sane character in the game so far. What in the world was that? I fix his furnace, which is enough for him to start praying to me, granting devotion when collected. I find the fisherman from the dungeon who gives me a quest to catch a fish. Fishing is like a light version of Stardew Valleys, but overall is pretty easy to reel them in. He gives me a tarot card and a quest to catch and provide him fish. I give him an octopus and a crab, and he gives me 2 talisman fragments. What happens here? Here into the darkness. Oh, hello. We give him a fish, and in return he gives us a 3rd talisman fragment. I stop by a merchant who is selling 4 tarot cards, so I buy them all. I siphon devotion and unlock an offering statue. I'm short on resources, so I don't build it right now, but I promise I eventually will. I deliver a killer sermon, and I'm rewarded with the first Might of the Devout upgrade, which will increase the starting level of weapons on Crusades. I perform the Ascend a Follower ritual, thinking it would make them more devout or loyal, so I chose Chicken Little to ascend. And forth. Did I kill him? Oh no, I killed him. I thought I was like gonna bring his faith to the next like a higher level. Oh my goodness. I cook a few meals and clean the area to improve sanitation, and then when leaving the cult, the first of 4 chains break on the middle door. Me and my followers shoot a beam of faith up to unlock the door to our next area, Anura. I start with a 4th weapon type, gauntlets, to start this run. At first, I don't really like this weapon much, but throughout the game, they do kind of grow on me. I meet a bug that somehow makes a follower of my choice more loyal to me, and then we make our way to the boss floor. The next bishop, Heket, shows up and summons Thor and forces him to starve. I ditch the gauntlets for a blade and then find myself at the next mini-boss, Gushin. I start the fight with only 1 heart and a dream, but that dream is quickly crushed. Oh no! The one who waits doesn't seem to care too much and sends me right back to my cult. Oh, your followers are starving. Your death has made your followers think you are weak. I slap out food for my followers and then, collecting the devotion, unlock a tabernacle to store even more devotion. I repair a broken bed, gave a sermon, unlocked new curses, and then while blessing my flock, Barbados levels up and his fragment gives me another complete commandment stone, so I unlock a new doctrine. This time I chose work and worship, giving me the option between my followers generating devotion faster or working faster, and I naturally chose devotion. I then build a tabernacle and siphon enough devotion for another divine inspiration, allowing me to unlock shelters which can upgrade my followers' bedding. It was then time to head back to Anura to try once more. This time I get a curse that gives 2 seconds of invincibility and the axe. Things are looking pretty good already. Join me, Falco. And I make it back to Gushin, and this time the only thing that was Gushin was, oh no, me. Back home, I siphon devotion, accept a quest from Patty to accept 2 starving followers into the cult. I accept Falco, Bunny, and Red Falco into the club. I cook some food for my starving friends, and then collecting devotion, I get my next divine inspiration and unlock the refinery. I plop more farming plots onto the ground and then conduct a midnight sermon, unlocking Fervor of the Righteous, which allows me to swear more during Crusades. Oh no, waking them up during the night upset them. Oops. Good morning. What a great day for another sermon. I bless Jack the donkey and he gives me a stone fragment, which completes another stone, and with that I put in place a new law. Choosing work and worship again, I can either inspire my members for more loyalty, which replaces bless, or I can intimidate them to increase loyalty and make them work harder. And I choose to nurture my flock with inspiration. I inspire, cook, clean, and then decide to try Anura one more time. I stumble across a crazy owl who unlocks my first 13 relic options to find during Crusades, and he gives me my first one to use, which will rain down a storm of lightning on enemies. Beating a room generated a new relic that freezes time for a short duration, so I yeeted my old one away for the new one. I throw a new galoot into the void that is my cult and continue on, making it back to Gushy for the 3rd time. And this time the only thing gushing was him. I recruit the ugly menace into my group and head to the next room, where a door like last time lights a quarter of the way up, meaning I need to defeat 2 more bosses to reach Heket. On the way back to the cult, the one who waits stops me and says I need to sacrifice my cult members to become stronger and grants me a new ritual. I unlock the Shrine Flame bundle to collect more devotion. Noticing my followers are just a little bit peckish, I make them some food. I deliver a moving sermon, which lets me unlock an extra heart permanently, and then I enact a new doctrine, this time choosing sustenance, which lets me choose between a ritual fast that will stop my followers from being hungry for 3 days, or a feasting ritual that fills my followers' hunger and grants faith. Struggling with the size of my cult, I naturally choose to make them all fast, which I immediately perform. This lowers my cult's faith, but at least they won't be hungry, and since their faith is already almost 0, it would be crazy to perform a sacrifice of the flesh, right? Luckily, crazy is right up the alley for a cult leader, so I do it and I choose Falco. I'm sorry, Falco. Oh my, I am so sorry, Falco. But his sacrifice was not in vain, as it lets me unlock the next set of new curses. I am an awful cult leader. Their faith is exactly 0. The next morning, Patty becomes enraged with glowing red eyes, calling me a fraud. So it's time for an emergency sermon to restore some faith. Afterwards, Patty is still mad, so I fix a few beds, clean up some filth, and finally, I build enough beds for all of my current followers. I forgot all about accepting the giraffe and Toad into the cult, so I pull them both out of the void and welcome them home. It's then time to take on the second Anura Crusade. Right away, I meet a talking mushroom that shows me where Spore Grotto is, so that I can meet Sozo. And we'll do that later. The remaining 3 bishops show up and tell me to bow before them. I refuse, and the hateful old men turn every stop on this crusade into combat floors. But that doesn't stop me. I make my way floor to floor and eventually find myself before the next mini-boss, Dead Pidgey. Between my relic and curse, I kept Pidgey frozen 99% of the fight, making the fight very, very easy. I throw Pidgey into the cult portal and get a commandment fragment that finishes off my next full tablet. The door is now half full, and on my way back to the cult, the one who waits interrupts me to say that there is now a chest at the cult where I can sell him items for gold. On my return, Patty leaves the cult and steals 19 coins on her way out, which makes me fail the re-education quest, and faith is back down to 0. First thing in the morning, I run to the temple to perform an emergency sermon, which allows me to unlock heavy attacks. I declare a new doctrine with 2 not so great choices: instantly build all structures currently under construction, or increase devotion speed by 20% for 3 days. I choose the devotion speed increase, and I don't think I'll ever actually use it, because if I go out on a crusade, it's full by the time I get back anyways. It's then time for an emergency ascension ritual. Red Falco, I'm sorry, but it's your time to go. I then perform a bonfire ritual to greatly boost the cult's faith. I dance with my followers, or bless, which makes them happy. And getting tired of cleaning up poop, I unlock an outhouse. I harvest my farm so my followers can plant more seeds. I welcome another new cult member into the cult, level up enough members to get another full commandment stone, and harvest another divine inspiration, which I use to unlock fertilizer silo, which will eventually lead to being able to unlock an upgrade that allows my workers to harvest plants as well as plant them. When looking into placing an outhouse and the fertilizer silo, both require a type of plank that I had 0 of. These planks are made with the refinery turning regular wood into an upgraded version, so I place a refinery to start converting my materials. I help the cult members craft the refinery and then queue 5 planks to be converted. While collecting stone from my mines, I realized they have a limited amount of resources. They must have a limited amount of resources they can provide. It's then time to head to Spore Grotto to meet Sozo. At the grotto, I stop by a vendor selling 4 tarot cards. I buy one and then talk to Sozo, who I think has been dipping into his own supply of mushrooms, because he is a little bit crazy. He asks that I bring him mushrooms that I collect in Anura and sends me on my way. I stop by Pilgrim's Pass to fish a bit more and then turn it into the fisherman in exchange for the final piece of my first holy talisman. These are used to unlock additional fleeces which grant benefits but also have pretty substantial drawbacks. Attempting to go with the curse path, I unlock the fleece that doubles the damage and halves the fervor cost of curses, but health and melee damage are halved. I summon a quick blood moon. I put in place another work and worship law where I get to choose between forcing my followers to work through 3 days and nights without getting tired, or being able to declare a day off, which means no work, but restores 80 faith in the process. I choose to unlock the Holy Day Off since I just recently reached 0 faith. I unlock the Missionary with Divine Inspiration, which when built will allow me to send followers on missions to acquire resources, and then I head back to Anura. And just like a Minuteman, I didn't even make it past the first floor before being struck down. Back at the cult, I construct a missionary, and then since it's the middle of the night, I head right back out to Anura. With the curse fleece still equipped, I tried focusing on curse usage, but it wasn't going great, so I tried to leave, and realizing that I couldn't, I faced the music and kept going, only to die 2 rooms later. Oof, that's rough. Back at the cult, I bless the children, harvest food, unlock missionary level 2, realize that I can't construct it, so I set stone to be refined. After that, I sell some items to the one who waits. That's really not a bad price for follower meat that I will never use. Yes, please. I sell a few more items and then conduct the day's sermon, switch back to the default fleece, and enact the bribe action, which will allow me to pay my followers for their loyalty. With the fast being over, I make some berry bowls for them to eat and then head back to Anura. This attempt is going much better now that I have the regular fleece back on, and eventually I reach a follower floor. Admit my stupidity? Oh, okay, it looks like that was the wrong answer. Can I at least kill him? Nope. All is going well until Heket shows up and casts a famine on my buffoons. But that's a future me problem. For now, let's tackle this dungeon. I make it to the mini-boss Zipar with only 1 heart, but at least I have the curse that makes me invincible for 2 seconds. I use the curse several times, and then my relic that uses any random relic freezes time for me, so I get more free shots on the boss, and things are going incredibly well, until... Okay, so I need to be really careful now. Well, never mind. I cook pumpkin and berry bowls for my followers to solve their starvation, and then repair beds. Man, what are you guys doing in these beds that they keep breaking like this? I grab my refined stone and then use it to upgrade my missionary to level 2. I unlock the demon circle, which will allow me to possess a follower to come with me on a crusade and then clean up filth in the cult. One of my followers dissents and does not respond to re-education, so I then perform a sermon where I learn about Bane weapons, a new law that teaches my followers that this is a material world, and then I check out the missionary. Oh no, I wanted to send my followers out to get more followers, but they have such a high chance of death doing that. Oh well, let's try anyways. I set the second one out to get wood. I realize my followers are still hungry, so I cook more food, and then head to Anura one more time. After taking some damage on the first floor, I make my way to collect wood on the second floor. I reach a follower floor where I don't even have to fight enemies to collect the new recruit, and then it's on to the boss floor. I pick up a spirit heart from the chest just before the boss, giving me 2 hearts at the start of the fight. And it's going pretty well until I take back-to-back hits, leaving me with only half a heart. But like a hard gamer, I clutch the rest of the fight, recruiting the ugly toad to the team, and finally the 3rd segment of the door is illuminating, meaning the next crusade will be against Heket himself. Elle is still mad, so I try re-educating again, which proves inefficient. I harvest food, collect and set more materials to be refined. Hey, you're back from your mission, you didn't die. Alright, tired but alive, that's good. Oh no, he made it all the way back to tell me he died. Him dying made all of the followers sad and some of them sick to their stomachs. I loot the corpse, which my followers did not like, and Elle said he's had enough and leaves the cult. I throw the body into the corner and then, seeing that everyone was sad, perform a sermon. He might be dead, but his soul will live on. I set a law that allows me to pay my followers to increase their loyalty, and more importantly right now, their faith. Instead of letting Thor die of old age, I ascend him from the cult, restoring some faith and getting rid of the old man. On my way out, Thor too dies of old age. Oh no, the cult is in shambles! Actually, everyone is asleep. I bet I can harvest his meat instead of a burial. Oh no! I welcome a frog and lumpy frog to the team and then build an outhouse for these filthy creatures. I craft a demon circle and then accept some sick people into the cult. I send one follower on a mission for wood and the other for stones. I craft 3 additional beds, finally having at least one for each current cult member, hold a quick sermon, and then convert Sparkles into a demon. I wonder if this is just a one-time thing, or if he comes with me until I replace him. I collect a divine inspiration and unlock body pits so that I can, bury dead bodies. I build one and then bury Velfar. It's then time to take on Heket. During the run, I get a moon necklace gift for a follower, but completely miss this tarot card right here. I run into a snake that wants to play Knucklebones. I save this rhino from a tree and quickly make my way through the rest of the dungeon. Unlocking Heket's door, the ugly toad sucks up his follower energy, turning into an even uglier toad. This battle was fairly simple, with Heket having 4 attacks, a tongue attack, a hop, a bug bomb, and a fly swarm. But it can get overwhelming pretty quickly with the ads that are spawned. And eventually I get croaked, returning to the cult empty-handed. On my return, I find a dissenting follower, so after re-education, I hold a sermon unlocking Might of the Devout 2 for even higher starting level weapons, and then it's time for a sacrifice of the flesh to show others just what happens to those that question their cult leader. I hold a bonfire ritual to boost follower faith after the sacrifice, and then it's time for a quick lunch. I send a follower out to get meat and then realize the demon circle only brings the demon for the next crusade. I level up a follower's loyalty, granting another commandment stone, welcome Rhino into Fight Club, build a fertilizer silo, welcome Pub back from their successful mission, and then convince my followers that sacrifice is good, which means they'll now gain faith during sacrifices instead of losing it. I quickly stop to destroy Flinky in Knucklebones, which grants me a new tarot card, giving immunity to poison when drawn. In the early morning, as my followers are waking up, I blast their brains with my words of wisdom. I unlock 50% cheaper rituals, upgrade a few beds, and then sell several follower meat to the Chained God. With the extra money, I decided to upgrade almost all of the remaining beds to level 2 before heading back to Spore Grotto to donate mushrooms to Sozo. In return, he gives me a fragment of a talisman and asks for more mushrooms. I then head to Darkwood for a follower quest and get a notice that stronger enemies are now present. I make my way to the follower room where I yeet the frog home. Making my way through the rest of the dungeon, I reach a new and improved Darkwood mini-boss. By itself, the boss seemed fine. Where the trouble came in was when he summoned ads into the fight, and I die. This is becoming a bit too common for my liking. I harvest food, perform a sermon allowing me to unlock vampiric weapons, teach my followers about the afterlife, learning a funeral ritual that lets me restore faith by holding a funeral for anybody that has recently passed. I ascend Old Man Barbados, unlock a healing bay using devotion, and build it, and then accept Frogface into my squad. I cook food, place several additional farming plots, conduct a ritual of fasting, and then hold a funeral to restore faith in the cult. In the morning, I hold another sermon, I empty the porta potty, and then head back to Darkwood because now it's personal. I come across a money tree asking for a gold sacrifice. I don't quite have enough, so I destroy the bags that are around him. Got some gold for you. I may have stole it from you, but I got some gold. Oh! In the next room, I get a relic that freezes all enemies. I recruit a follower, and then it's on to the boss floor. This time I start the boss fight with much more health and come out successful, taking only 1 hit. I pick up a new item, Eye of the Witness, and I can choose to either continue the run or end it here, which for the sake of time, I returned back home. I conduct a morning sermon and enact a new law. I mean, that's what I've been doing to the old people anyways, just killing them off. I choose the trait that rewards me for sacrificing old people versus letting them die naturally. I head to harvest food, and then having enough devotion, I reach the next cult upgrade. Bessie and Spiderhead both join the team, and then it's time to head back to Darkwood to continue farming upgrades. I kill a spider, which unlocks a new relic, I save a giraffe, and then come across a spider named Helob who's selling a follower for 12 gold. I, of course, buy him and then move on to the boss floor. Reaching a mini-boss named Barbados, who has a pretty easy moveset, I take him down without getting hit. I collect my reward and return to the cult. I welcome Antler and this guy into the cult, and then enact a new doctrine. Gain the Grass Eater, so no negative faith when a follower eats a meal made of grass. That's huge. Let's do that. I perform a sermon granting me access to necromantic weapons, and I just barely reach another divine inspiration, which I use to unlock a 50% discount to ritual costs. I head back to Darkwood one more time since I'm so close to another weapon upgrade from sermons. I breeze through the dungeon, rescuing Hornhead along the way, and quickly conquering the other floors, reach the boss room, who I demolish without taking a single hit. I collect my loot and return home. Hey, welcome to the team, Horn Guy. I harvest crops and then enact a new sustenance doctrine. Both of the choices were unappealing, so I went with the Ocean's Bounty since I would at least have use for it from time to time. I then hold a bonfire to restore faith. I unlock Refinery level 2, hold a sermon. I unlock the last Afterlife Doctrine, which are both pretty meh right now. So I choose the grave building option, and then I solve a dispute with a dissenter by sacrificing him, which allows me to unlock the next level of Might of the Devout. I build a bunch of beds to ensure all of my followers will have one. I have some time to kill to get another Crusade upgrade, so let's go fishing. After fishing for a bit, I catch a squid and give it to the fisherman as the last fish that he needed, and in return, I get another talisman piece. I fish until the next morning and then return home to collect devotion, and use it to unlock shared shelters. I have a big deficit in supplies, so I won't be building it now, but eventually I will. Why does it take poop to build? I hold a sermon and unlock zealous weapons, and then enact the last sustenance doctrine that lets me choose between benefiting from the mushroom ritual or belief in prohibitionism, which gives me a constant 10% increase in work and devotion generation speed, with the downside of followers becoming sick from the mushroom ritual. Since I hadn't even gathered enough mushrooms to unlock the ritual, I chose prohibitionism. I ascend Old Man Pano. He's now someone else's problem. It's then finally time to attempt Anura again. Starting at level 10? The run is going well, and the axe being zealous means that as I acquire fervor, it also increases my devotion as well. Whoa, this is farming devotion. That's 2 divine inspirations so far this run. And it's finally time to face Heket again, this time with 5 health. Between my relic freezing time, my weapon doing decent damage, and my curse shooting from far away, I make absolutely short work of Heket, gaining a new heart of a heretic. Returning home, I was celebrated for my victory. I unlocked the upgraded Tabernacle and the 4th Cult upgrade. With the Grassy Gruel perk, I no longer have downside to cooking the cheap dish, so I make several to feed the cult with. I enact the last Possession Doctrine, and get a choice between increasing faith when building new buildings or gaining more faith from sermons. Since I'm material poor, I chose increased sermon faith. Using the Heart of a Heretic, I unlock the ability to eat during a run, which I still to this day have no idea how to do. I hold a quick sermon about how I defeated Heket and then perform janitorial duties. I get another Divine Inspiration and unlock Missionary level 3. I upgrade my Refinery to level 2. Oh, so you can just queue more. You don't get better conversion rates. Well, you've reached old age. Your pleasure. Farewell, old man. His sacrifice allowed me to unlock merciless weapons. The next morning, I repair beds and enact a new law. Followers fight to the death? What does it gain us? Like, what do we get from it? Like this one, we get faith. What do we get from this? We just kill off old people? No, we're gonna do wedding. I deliver a sermon that lets me unlock Fervor of the Righteous too. I throw berry bowls on the ground and then clean up the immediate mess and then head back to Anura to complete a follower quest. In the second room, I buy a tarot card from a cat and then rescue a follower. And eventually I reach the boss floor, and with a few lucky crits, I take him out very quickly, giving a new follower and another Eye of the Witness. Ooh, run, hurry, hurry, I want to get a sermon in today. We made it. After the sermon, since they were already awake, I enact a new doctrine, choosing to restore plus 10 faith for every morning that a follower is not in prison. I light a big fire inside and then let my followers return to sleep for 5 seconds. I welcome Cow and Snakehead into the group, unlock a Scarecrow to finally protect my seeds from birds, and I build it right away. I queue materials for refinement and then hold a morning sermon, reaching the next level of Might of the Devout for better starting weapons. It must be July because I'm done with you, June. Goodbye. I then perform the fasting ritual to freeze my followers' hunger. I then get married to an oldie, make sure it doesn't last very long. And in doing so, I gain a new tarot card, the Lovers, that grants 2 spirit hearts on draw. I then enact my last doctrine, which grants the achievement and unlocks the loyalty enforcer, who can go around making sure everyone is loyal to me. What a cute little hat. He's so happy. I accidentally discovered the offering plate that had 187 coins in it. I return to Spore Grotto and buy the remaining 3 tarot cards from the vendor. I give Sozo the 20 mushrooms that he wanted, and he teaches me the brainwashing ritual and gives me another talisman piece. I unlock the Harvest Totem, which increases crop growing speed, and surprisingly, I'm able to build it. I set my wood to be refined and then sacrifice Sparkles, which lets me unlock Might of the Devout 5. And then during midday, Hino dies, causing everybody to puke. Oh no, my spouse, you were so old, who saw this coming? Oh no, everyone is throwing up. I clean up the mess and bury the body before fishing for the rest of the night. I deliver another slamming sermon and am left 3 short of unlocking the highest level of starting weapons. I upgrade the farm station to level 2, which will let my follower harvest the crops whenever they're ready. I set more goods to be refined, unlock the crypt in case any more followers die without sacrifice, and then finally my followers and I focus really hard, which opens the next area, Anchordeep. I get a new type of weapon, a hammer, which is a very slow but very high damage weapon. Kallamar appears and makes my follower sick. I make it to the follower merchant. 0. I mean, it's a bargain, I guess. Eventually making it to the next mini-boss, Celios. With the hammer's massive damage, I make short work of the fight, collecting my loot and illuminating the first quarter circle of the door. I accept my new followers, build my first shared shelter which houses 3 followers, and then perform a sermon about the mightiest weapons to start with. I unlock stone mines level 2. What material is this? It looks like silk? I guess it's probably from the last stage with the spiders. Okay, I won't be building that anytime soon. It's then time to head back to Anchordeep for round number 2. I run into a crow and a worm that want to play some knucklebones later. I abduct this elephant that was sitting on the ground, and then while making my way through the dungeon, Kallamar shows back up and makes 5 more followers ill. But I push on, making it to the boss floor where I meet the next mini-boss, Arboreum. He used all projectile-style moves and summoned mobile enemies, making it pretty easy to get overwhelmed. And eventually, I get an unfortunate hit and die. Okay guys, I get that you're sick, but you made it to the outhouse and just went outside anyways. After cleaning, I welcome Mr. Elephant into the group. Oh, he's dead. That is a dead frog. I prepare and bury the body and then perform the daily sermon, but faith was still low, so it was time to ascend the dissenter. And faith was still a little bit low, so I performed a funeral for a recently passed follower, and then on their way out, oh look, we got them all. Look at all of it. To start getting ahead on materials, I build a rock mine and then I unlock Lumberyard level 2. Oh, I can build this one. I just have to upgrade a level 1 Lumberyard to this one. I set gold to refine and then wait for morning. Another day, another sermon, this time granting godly weapons, and then head back to Anchordeep. Godly axe, look at that. 7.4 for an axe. I make my way to a follower room, slamming the alligator into the portal, and then eventually making my way to a new type of enemy that nearly soloed me. Oh, wait, I can bounce it back and forth? Goodness. And I ended up making it to the boss with only half a health, and I made it further than I thought I would, but I do end up getting killed. I hold a sermon, and then since faith is low, I sacrifice Old Man Zippar, which grants the Eyes of the Lost Relic, which unlocked several new relics to find on runs. I cook some food to restore the herd's health, and then build a few lumberyards. I upgrade one of them to level 2 to see if it's even worth the extra resources. I unlock the kitchen so when built, my followers can create meals for themselves when they're hungry. I upgrade the second lumberyard to level 2, set planks to be refined, and throw a lot of salad on the ground to be eaten in the morning. I had completely forgotten about this guy, so I let him in. In the morning, I perform a quick sermon, unlocking blessed relics, which unlocked even more new relics to be found, and then it's time to head to Anchordeep. On the run, I find my first blessed relic that has a chance to give a heart or invincibility for 10 seconds. I made my way to a follower room, slamming Baby Bear into the void portal. I then make my way to the boss floor where I reach the boss with 5 full hearts and a blessed relic, and as you might have guessed, thanks to the invincibility, I make very short work of the boss, taking no damage. I collect my follower and loot, and return home with a new quarter of the door illuminated. I unlock a prison, set wood to be refined, hold a quick sermon, appoint a new cute hat lad to watch the followers, I welcome in Baby Bear, collect resources from my buildings, and then build 2 more stone mines and 1 more lumberyard. If I want to get more upgraded buildings, I'll be needing a lot of resources. I make grass for the followers to eat, and then welcome in the mini-boss to the cult, bringing the total members to 17, and then it's time to return to Anchordeep for round 3. Godly hammer, jeez, 12 damage? The Godly Hammer was destroying enemies early, and I quickly made my way by a follower for 6 coins, and then on the next floor I run into Plimbo, who invites me to Smuggler's Sanctuary, and I make my way through and rescue this chap, and then continue on, eventually making it to the mini-boss, Beelzebub. His projectiles were pretty hard to dodge, but with the Godly Hammer I was doing so much damage that it didn't matter. I take him down, recruit him, and then head home. Next up is Kallamar. I welcome in my 3 new followers and then upgrade another lumberyard to level 2. While collecting my resources, Habor asked me to accept 2 sick followers, which I of course accept, bringing my follower count to 22. I unlock a confession booth that will help me level up my followers' loyalty once a day, and then clean up after the sick people. I conduct a sermon, hold a quick fasting ritual because they've been eating me out of house and home, and I do have an elderly cult member, which means it's time for a sacrifice. And in doing so, I unlock damned relics. I build my confession booth and hear my first confession, which levels Mr. Frog up. It's then time for a few more mines and lumberyards before heading back to Anchordeep to face Kallamar. I make my way back, buying a follower on the way, and he gives me a tarot card for being his #1 customer. I then buy the new follower for 8 coins. On my way to the boss, one of the rooms gives me the invincibility curse, which I gladly take. I save this guy and continue on to the boss, who actually doesn't transform as much as the other bishops, but he is definitely no easy match. He mixes both melee and range attacks, as well as summoning large amounts of adds to the battle. But with my invincibility curse, he was quickly brought down, granting a new heart of a heretic and causing my followers to cheer. A quick sermon grants me necromantic curses, and then the heart grants me the ability to sacrifice a cult member to resurrect on any future runs. I build 2 new beds before welcoming in my 2 new followers. I collect resources from the lumberyard and stone mine, clean up waste, then set items to refine. I have plenty of resources now. I think it'd be smart to get a second refinery to refine even faster. It's then time for a quick sermon, and then I unlock and build a janitor station so I can stop being on dump duty. My followers and I then shoot a light into the sky to open the door to the last bishop in Silk Cradle. While adventuring, I get a notification that Theon has died of old age. I didn't even realize I had an old man, or I would have let him ascend. I recruit a follower to replace Theon and then make my way to the boss floor. Sir Sham shows up and turns one of my followers against me, leaving me no choice but to kill him, bringing my cult's faith down even further. I continue forward, making it to the mini-boss, Volcador, a very gross spider. He had some pretty cool moves, but I had enough extra hearts that I was able to tank a few hits on purpose to take him down quickly. I collect my follower and loot, and then head back to the cult. I upgrade my second refinery to level 2, and then welcome in 2 new followers. I noticed that there is a dissenter amongst us, and so after failed re-education, I held a sermon to unlock Curse of the Beguiler, and then ascended the dissenter. Problem solved. With that handled, it was time to head back to Silk Cradle. I discovered the final location, Midas's Cave, and continue collecting resources and followers as I continue. No, another one died? Oh no, the cult is going down. Finally making it to the next mini-boss, Vapar. He shot snot spray and summoned adds, but overall it was a pretty easy fight. I collect my follower and loot and head back home. I hold a middle of the night sermon and perform a quick sacrifice to unlock Hudai's Blessing, which will allow me to re-roll a weapon or curse once per run in the starting room. They were not happy about their sleep being interrupted, but still had a little bit of faith left. I unlock Tabernacle 3. At this point, we're just unlocking things without any immediate intention of building them. Being the middle of the night, I handled the dead body, let's say, discreetly. I catch several followers right as they wake up for an inspiration and nearly maxed out the cult's faith again. And this is the start of one of the biggest upgrade sessions I've had so far. I upgrade 1 stone mine to level 2 and set 10 gold bars to be refined. I upgrade the tabernacle to level 2 and then collected stone from the mines. I build another 2 refineries and another 2 stone mines, and also upgraded 2 lumberyards to level 2. I hold another sermon, and the only unlocks remaining are upgrades to each weapon's heavy attack, so I upgrade the axe first. I accept these 2 friends that I forgot about into the club, and then upgrade all of the beds to level 2 shelters before throwing grass on the grounds for the followers to eat, and finally head back to Silk Cradle. I meet Shroomy, who also wants to lose to me at Knucklebones. I press forward, collecting a new friend as I go, and eventually run into ShamWow again, who turns 2 of my followers against me this time. I slay them and then continue forward. Ah, what? Alright, you're old, so I'm gonna go ahead and choose you. Alright, I'm back. Oh no, I'm already taking hits. I make my way to the scorpion boss, Horus, and make it pretty far, but eventually fall to his projectile attacks. Back home, my cult's faith is 0, so I immediately head to hold a sermon. I hold a quick bonfire ritual to boost the faith more before dropping it a bit with a fasting ritual, and then finally I hold an ascension ritual for Old Man Gret to restore faith again. I unlock the devotion harvest totem and welcome in my new pawn. Continuing my upgrade spree, I upgrade 2 stone mines and 1 lumberyard to level 2. I then build 2 additional stone mines. It's time to get way ahead on resources. I sell follower meat at the chest, and then it's time to explore Midas's Cave. There's a pedestal where I can buy devotion that continues to increase in cost the more you buy, and there's a vendor selling 4 tarot cards. However, instead of these costing gold coins, they cost gold bars. These are going to be much more expensive and time consuming to buy. In the back, I can sacrifice followers. I don't have anyone that's currently old age though, so I skip this for now. In the middle is a well that I can pay to access, but it will cost 10 gold bars to enable. While I'm out, I decided to check out Smuggler's Sanctuary as well. Here, Plimbo tells us that each time a bishop dies, a witness takes his place and is interfering with his trading, so he will pay me to bring him the Eye of a Witness. Well, it just so happens that I already have 2 on me, but what's you gonna pay me for them? Okay, no talisman piece, that tracks. This area also has a vendor selling tarot cards for coins, so I buy them all. Oh, I can tickle him? Okay, a relic, nice. Returning to base, I attempt to re-educate a dissenter, collect my mountains of resources, and then hold a quick sermon. Alright, I guess we'll take this one. Only 3 more unlocks to go. I unlock the next level of the Demon Circle, and then upgrade my missionary to level 3, thinking it might make the trip percentages worth sending followers on. It did help some, but most items still have at least a 10% chance of failure. And then with my talisman, I unlock the Fleece of Fates, which allows me to start a crusade with 4 tarot cards, but I won't get any afterwards. I make my way through the dungeon, focusing on follower rescue and the least combat possible to progress. Eventually making it to the boss. Since I was at full health, I was able to fight him much more aggressively by tanking hits while pumping out massive damage and very quickly bringing him down. I collect my follower and loot and return home. Back home, I unlock the propaganda speakers to increase work speed. I collect stone and wood. I place speakers here, and here, and then build a building that would soon take my entire cult to a whole new level of efficiency. I place 4 offering tables to see what kind of resources my followers offer and how often. I make sure my refineries are all refining materials and then welcome in my 2 new members and this old geezer. I build 2 new group homes to make sure I have plenty of beds for any new followers I gain, and then I head to Midas's cave with some of my gold bars. I use 10 to unlock the well, which allows me to donate coins to it, but I'm broke. Alright, old man, I'm selling you over to Midas. Oh, he turned him into gold. Oops. In exchange, Midas gave me a talisman piece, so I sacrificed my other old man for another one. At the start of day 58, I hold a sermon and unlock sword mastery, and then cook grassy gruel for the fellas. Ooh, that could be amazing. Refined resources, regular resources, food, and coins? I definitely need more of these. So I built more. 4 more. This is the start to an empire. I unlock grand shelters, and then, like a ninja, I roll into Silk Cradle. Making my way through, I rescue a new follower and continue forward, eventually making it to the last bishop's door. He gets extra disgusting, and I only have 1.5 health to start the fight. However, I am armed with some pretty amazing resources. A godly dagger for high and quick damage output, a blessed dice that can potentially give invincibility for 10 seconds, and even if not, it grants a spirit heart, which is still amazing. After a tough fight, I come out victorious, grabbing my 4th heart of a heretic, loot, and return home, only this time, instead of being returned home, I'm brought before the one who waits. He says it's time to free him by sacrificing myself to revive him, and that I must hurry in doing so, and then he sends me home. Returning home, the cult is excited about the new heretic heart that I show them. I collect my cult's offers, which include stone, lumber, coins, and food, pretty much everything I would need if I had enough quantity. While my cult sleeps, I welcome in a new member and collect resources. I then throw out lawn clippings for the cult to eat. I perform a no food protest and then hold a quick sermon, which unlocks dagger mastery. With the last heretic heart, I unlock omnipotent, which lets me return from a crusade at any time. I build 1 more offering table and then leave the base. When doing so, the door in the middle has the last chain broken and opens up. I quickly rerun Anura and beat it with ease for a follower quest. I unlock Demon Circle 3, welcome in my new follower, and then collect my offerings. Oh, these are so good! Upgraded bricks and planks. While depositing seeds at my silo, a cult member dies of old age. Oh no, I need to prepare it quickly. Everyone's gonna come throw up on him. Quick. At least it was only a few. Never mind, it was everybody. I have a few more old cult members, so I sacrifice 1 to unlock my last faith upgrade. I then head back to Midas's cave, equipped with several gold bars. I buy all of the tarot cards offered, bringing my total up to 37 out of 43. Only 6 more to go. I then sacrifice an old man to Midas, getting a talisman piece, and finishing another full talisman. I head back to the Crazy Club and hold a quick sermon. This time the bar at the bottom has disappeared. I guess sermons moving forward will only be for faith and loyalty increases. With my talisman, I unlock the Golden Fleece, which turns out to be by far my favorite one when doing certain things like long crusade runs. The Golden Fleece increases damage dealt after each kill, but that increase is reset whenever you take damage, and the damage that you take is doubled. I quickly collect my offerings and then head to Darkwood. I make my way through the dungeon, collect my loot, and then return to the cult. I welcome a follower, collect offerings, and then head back to Darkwood. In the relic room, I purchase a new tarot card for 200 coins that increases the chance of relic spawns. And then with 215% increased damage, I take a portal so that I can face Leshy again. The goal is to tackle the take no damage from each bishop achievement, but unfortunately I miss my swing on this worm, and he hits me, so I pile the boss, collect my loot, and return home. I unlock the trapped scarecrow, and then collect my offerings. I welcome in a new follower, I unlock compost, and then I head to Midas's cave. This time I pay the 350 gold fee for the well, and I get a notification to come back in 3 days. So with the timer ticking, I head to Darkwood. I'm still going for a perfect run, and on the last floor of the boss, I unfortunately get hit, losing 170% increased damage. Then I reach the dungeon's mini-boss with only a 40% increase in my damage. To salvage this run, I would need to be perfect here, and then also double back and be perfect at Leshy as well. It takes a while, but I was able to best the mini-boss without taking any damage. And now it's time to double back and try to tackle Leshy without damage as well. I took the Leshy battle very slowly, focusing on adds first before attempting any damage on the boss. I get a lucky crit off and very quickly bring him down to half health. But with more adds and things getting ramped up from the boss, there were several very dicey moments. Whew, I did it. I almost gave up on this run entirely. One of the 4 tough achievements down, only 3 more to go. Back at home, I collected my juicy offerings and accepted 2 new cult members into the group. I forced my followers to starve to avoid making food. I mean, for religious reasons. And then I hold a quick bonfire to make my goons happy again. I head back to Midas and sacrifice an old man that I met in the last dungeon, and he tells me that sadly this is the last piece of talisman that he has for me. And now it's time to tackle a perfect Anura run. For this run I had the hammer to one-shot all small enemies, an eye that mimicked my equipped curse, increased attack rate, and 410% increased damage, but the slow speed of the hammer made the adds tough to deal with, and I got hit very early on and eventually died. Starting the next day, I accept 2 new followers and then head to Midas's cave. Alright, let's see what we get from the well. Ooh, I can withdraw. Whoa, 677 coins back? Can I keep doing that? I deposit another 350 gold back and then head back to Anura. I start the run with a Bane Hammer and things are going pretty well until reaching these shielded enemies that require a heavy attack get a hit on me. I keep pushing ahead and reach the boss with 120% damage increase, much lower than 410%, but not bad either. I get a few lucky swings in early and have a very few close saves, but this time with a bit of patience, I managed to take down the toad, securing my next achievement. I unlock the next level of outhouse, welcome in my followers, and collect my offerings, and then it's time. It's time to take follower extortion to the next level by building 18 new offering tables. I also build 8 lumberyards and 6 stone mines. I performed my first sacrifice since reaching max faith, and it looks like followers will either generate gold or devotion when sacrificed now. I sacrificed Old Man Stan for 80 coins, and for a total of 10 sacrifices, I get an achievement. I unlocked the second level of the crypt and then head to take on Anchordeep. With the Bane Sword equipped, I speed through the dungeon, that is until I head to a question mark room. Oh no, that's a mini boss. This is not good. I take the fight slowly, and to my surprise, I managed to make it through undamaged. I make it to the next boss with 380% damage increase, but unfortunately I forgot that he uses projectile moves, and I get hit on his first one and then eventually die. I mean, I can't be too mad when the offerings look like this. My goodness, I don't need anything else. I hold a quick no food protest, and then it's time for a quick bonfire to raise the spirits. I buy a new follower on my way out before heading to Midas's to retrieve my gold. This time I only get a little bit back in return at 411 coins. I deposit 350 more and head to play Knucklebones with these 2 new fellas. First up was Clunko and Bob, and I lost the first time and decimated him the second, and in return I receive a new tarot card. The next opponent I beat the first time and receive another tarot card, making 40 out of 43, and then it's time to tackle Anchordeep. Ooh, claws. Not the best, but also not the worst. Let's see what we can do. Just before reaching the boss floor, the possible thing happened. I had the Divine Guardian Curse spawn, which when used gives 2 seconds of invincibility, and with 400% bonus damage, I think we've got this. Watching it back, I think there were a few close calls with the invincibility running out near projectiles, but I made short work of the boss, killing him in around 30 seconds, leaving only one bishop remaining. Returning home, I quickly collected my offerings and unlocked Morgue 1. I sacrifice an old man for 90 coins and ascend another, and then it's time to head to Silk Cradle. Early in the first floor, I take a hit from a giant spider in a small room, resetting my damage increase. Not much further, but still on the first floor, I take a hit that knocks me from full HP to dead. I have one extra old man that I choose to sacrifice to try to salvage the run, and on the next floor I decide to teleport out while I can. I grab my offerings and then head right back to the Silk Cradle. Once again on the first floor, I take too much damage and die. Salvage a cult member and then return to a corner to run away. I don't even check on my followers this time, I just head straight back in. This time making it to the boss with 455% increased damage, 2 demons, and 2 rotating orbs. I very quickly get hit, so I quickly run to safety and teleport out. At least I'll always have my offerings waiting when I get home. I welcome a friend and unlock Morgue number 2. My sacrifice cooldown is up, so I ascend my oldest fool. Yeah, it's time to expand. I want to place as many as I can. 10 more is not bad. I collect wood from the lumberyard and place another 14 offering statues for an extra 24 built today. Ooh, the offering statues are giving me good meal resources too. 100% chance to increase loyalty and to stop someone from dissenting. Whoa. I then head back to Silk Cradle. Things go well on the first floor, but I end up getting hit by a regular enemy on floor number 2, so I run away. I made another attempt, but the game or PC crashed with a black screen, so I didn't get the recording, so we're just gonna jump right past it to day 79. With the Zealous Axe, the run is going pretty well, but it gets taken to the next level when I get a Blessed Tarot card, doubling my attack speed. Look at that speed! Making it to the boss with an astounding 610% increase in damage. Requiring a few precise dodges, overall the attack speed and damage absolutely shred the last bishop, granting me one of the hardest achievements so far. Back home, I collect 9,000 offerings, welcome a new fella into the group. I unlocked Crypt number 3 and Shrine Flame number 3. I collect the last resources in the lumberyard and mines before they break, and then I build more. 6 lumberyards and 6 stone mines. And a trip home wouldn't be complete without a few offering statues, so I build 10 more. Let's let the resources flow. I stop by the Midas well and withdraw just over 500 coins. I then deposit 350 more, I do a quick ascension on the grandpa of the group, and then switch back to my regular fleece before heading to meet the one who waits. But it requires that I have 20 followers, and after my most recent sacrifice, I only have 19. So I buy one from Helob, and they all help me teleport to he who remains waiting for 20 days while I achievement hunt. In the room, I have a choice between 3 weapons and curses. I pick a Bane Sword and an Ice Curse, and then head onward to take on the boss. Let's see how this goes. Kneel to be sacrificed. I'm no longer a scared lamb. If you want the crown, you're gonna have to take it. And he was not happy about my answer, so this angry cat attacks me and the first fight begins. Ball's attacks were all melee based, with swings or chains erupting from the ground. Throughout the fight, he had very long windows where he was vulnerable to attacks. After getting hit twice, I take out the first cat. And then next up was aim. Opposite of Ball, most of his attacks were projectiles, and well, I kind of got lit up right off the jump. But after that, I learned his moves pretty quickly and was able to find his attack windows and finished him off with 2.5 health remaining. Think yourself victorious. Well, yeah, I did, but I'm doubting it a bit now. Oh, okay, he can just break his own chains. That's fair. The one who waits had similar attacks to his 2 kittens, but they were changed a bit. His projectiles were wider and slower, and his chain shots were much faster. Sometimes in random patterns and others in a line like Ball. Pretty early on, I was knocked down to 1 HP while the boss had most of his health remaining. And then while still looking for openings on the boss, I die. Only this time I'm unable to sacrifice a cult member to revive. I come to at the cult and then head straight back in. This time I grab an axe, and for my curse, I make sure to go with something that has range, and then the fight is back on. I take out Ball taking only 1 hit, and then on aim I take several hits and make it to the one who waits with only 2.5 health again. This time I know what to expect, so I dive in and do a lot of damage early. Eventually getting him to half health, he falls down and gains new moves that we'll just say took me by surprise. I stabilize a bit after learning his new Carousel of Doom move and get some good damage on him. I think he just needs 1 more hit, and got him. Did you believe me defeated? Yes. Yes, I did. He then disappears and turns out the lights to show off his cool glowing eyes. Uh-oh, this feels like it's gonna be the real boss fight now. He looks over it. Oh, no, Grows, put those back in. And then the boss fight was on. Each of the 3 eyes shooting quick moving projectiles in circles or clusters, and after taking enough damage, eventually burying one at a time. Okay, thankfully each hit on the eye is taking down his overall health. After all 3 eyes buried, they came back up and started shooting projectiles again. This feels like the most difficult section since there are so many projectiles at once, but this time after taking enough damage, the eye pops, forcing the other 2 to bury. The one who waits throws a temper tantrum and spawns moving walls of projectiles, and then once the eyes pop back up, he's still throwing attacks, making it more dangerous than ever. I get the next eye to bury and then try to focus on dodging and still dealing damage, but eventually die with the boss right at half health remaining. With the fight knowledge under my belt, I switch to the white fleece to see if I spawn any tarot cards. I don't, and then head back in. I grab a dagger and range curse, and then the fight is on. I make short work of Ball, taking 2 hits during the fight, and then aim I quickly take out while only taking 1 hit and still having 1 heart on the ground from the Ball fight. I take several hits during the One Who Waits fight, but found a huge window after his double chain attack to get several hits in very quickly. I take several hits during this phase, but make it through with 2 full hearts left. After the light show, it's time for the next phase. I quickly take out the first 3 eyes, and then when the first one pops back up, I quickly strike and destroy it before any of the other ones come back, meaning it's time for the boss's temper tantrum attack, and then the eyes re-emerge. I cause the second eye to bury and take 2 quick hits from the boss eye. This is about where I died last time, but I'm relatively healthy this time around. Okay, yes, let's take it slow. Maybe my curse can reach it? So we are so close now. I dodge a few boss attacks before the last remaining eye re-emerges again, this time with the boss attacking a bit more frequently. I see an opening and I go for it. It has to be close. This curse is coming in clutch. Okay, once it pops up, I'm gonna light it up. Yes! Oh, is he stunned without his eyes? Can we finish it? Yes! Be gone! I have a choice to murder the One Who Waits or allow him to join my cult, and I'm always game for more followers, so I spare him. That sounds ominous. I wonder if he's not good to have in the cult for some reason. Oh well, my followers are freed and rejoice, and that's the end of the game. Or, well, it was, but the developers post-launch released a patch that added quite a bit of additional content, so I return home and accept the old bishop as my new follower. The wolf becomes the lamb. Welcome. Oh, he's immortal. That's nice. Head back out and am drawn to the door where the One Who Waits previously was, and am surprised when a new being named ... shows up. He says, although I killed the bishops, I deny them rest. They're forced to relive their final agonies. Whoa, I'm the god of death, though? He tells me I need to crusade again to give the bishops peace, and then makes the doors all colorful. Darkwood is open, so I head inside. I push forward as I normally would, making my way through a dungeon. I run into Midas, who steals 30 coins from me, and then making it to the boss floor, I'm greeted with an even grosser version of Amdusius, our very first mini-boss. I have plenty of hearts, so I tank him and take him out quickly. I loot a new item, a god tier, and then on my way out, I notice the ever-familiar quarter circle light up. Oh boy, here we go again. I collect 10 million offerings and then head to the temple. Maybe the god tier can be used here? No, oof, but there are 4 new fleeces. I'll need to unlock them all to reach 100%. And similar to the other fleeces, these all have big benefits, but also specific drawbacks as well. Okay, maybe he'll take them. Oop, that's a yes. He tells me to give him a name, and I was entirely unprepared for this. I've been staring at this for 5 minutes. I don't know. I'm gonna date myself here, but IDK-MBFFJ is gonna be his name. I don't know allows me to give him a tier in exchange for a reward. I hand one over to him, and it looks like each reward is a 1 out of 4 chance between a tablet, a follower gift, a follower form, or a talisman piece. The tier lands on the tablet, and it turns out to be a forgotten commandment stone, which allows me to reclaim doctrines that I didn't choose the first time around. I'll be using these in the game, but won't really be covering it, because really none of these rituals are going to get used. And then it's time to head back into Darkwood. I destroyed the entire thing with the God Hammer, reaching Barbados 2 without taking a single hit, and he was no different. I collect the God tier and leave. This entire run took less than 6 minutes. I collect my Sea of Offerings. I'll stop mentioning the offerings after this, but I will be collecting them, and I'm pretty much set on any food or materials I could ever need. It's time again for the no food ritual and to sacrifice this Oli for 138 coins. I exchange my tier for another tablet and then head back to Darkwood. Reaching Valir 2, I'd only been hit twice. He has some pretty cool new moves, and eventually I realize I have enough health that I can just tank him to finish the battle. Collecting my tier and going home, Leshy's up next. I send another old man to the gulag and then hold a bonfire to cheer everyone up, and then it's time to tackle Leshy again. I make it to Leshy's door. Oh my gosh, guys, I am so healthy. Look at that. 5 regular, 3 spirit, and a half of a diseased heart. I could get hit by a truck and live. Even tanking hits at the end, I take out Leshy without breaking a sweat. Wow, okay, that was deceivingly easy. Maybe it was all the no-hit practice that I did. Oh, you're now my follower. How the tables have turned. I collect 3 god tiers and head home to convert Leshy to do my bidding. I unlock basic decorations and then head out. I don't know opens a portal to Purgatory where I can go to fight once a day, and while inside, no time will pass at my cult. I enter Purgatory where I'm able to eventually choose my different fleeces and can later opt to do a boss rush instead of a normal dungeon gauntlet. I choose the option that I currently have open. There is an achievement tied to Purgatory, but after this first run, I stopped performing it daily because my computer was crashing, forcing a full restart and leading to potentially corrupted recordings. I'll circle back to this later, but Purgatory essentially offers a tougher Crusade experience, mixing different floors of enemies leading up to a boss, or later multiple boss floors. Things were going pretty great until the last floor, where I took quite a bit of unnecessary damage and was surprised with the boss's updated moves, eventually dying to an ad that was spawned. Ooh, I have to sacrifice a level 4 follower to open this door. Well, old man, your time has come. You will always be remembered. Oh my, that was the most painful looking way to go yet. I make it to the boss with less than ideal health and very quickly die. But I sacrifice another old man, and his sacrifice was not in vain because I take on the rest of the fight, only taking 1 hit before taking Gushin down. I grab the tier and go. Back home, Leshy has a quest for me saying his eye was lost in Darkwood and needed to be recovered. I unlock bone decorations, and now I'm 100% complete with divine inspiration upgrades. I can still collect devotion, and the amount jumped significantly. I wonder what I'll unlock for getting there. Heading back to Anura, I reach the boss almost full health and struggle a bit, but manage to take him down. Almost immediately, I head straight back in for another round. I make it to Zombie Pidgey for round 2, and thanks to Freeze, I'm making short work of the boss, except for this part, but otherwise the fight goes smoothly. There are a few too many elderly people at this party, so I sacrifice one and ascend another. I have enough food to feed an army, so I make several magnificent meals and then head back to Anura, this time making it to Heket 2.0. Pretty early on, I was knocked down to only 1 heart remaining. I managed for a while, at least until the ads were spawned at a quarter health, and I was very quickly overwhelmed. But fear not, there's always an old follower that can be sacrificed to get me back into the fight. I took about 3 more minutes of slowly fighting the ads, but eventually I killed them all, and then quickly killed Heket as well, granting himself as a follower and 3 god tiers to collect. I welcome Heket to my personal army and then reach a full bar of divine inspiration, which just grants a god tier. With 12 tiers, I stop by IDK and turn in 2 for a stone and a necklace. And then I head to open the door to Anchordeep. Level 7 follower this time. Do I have one? No, I don't. I head to my confession booth and find level 4 Hannah is close to a level up. I hear her confession and she levels up. I then bribe, inspire, and gift Hannah a big and 2 small gifts, which makes her reach level 6. Needing to kill some time, I head to Midas's cave to claim my gold and find out that they have rejected it, giving 0 gold back in return. I then head to Darkwood to complete Leshy's quest. I make it to the room for Leshy's quest item and am pleasantly surprised to find a new relic, which makes 30 out of 37. A few rooms later, I die to the shielded enemies that require a heavy attack to damage, but since I had already acquired the quest item, I didn't sacrifice anyone and just returned to the cult. Heket now gives me his own quest for a relic item in Anura. I hold a confession with Hannah which almost levels her up, so I inspire her to push it just over the edge and then promptly sacrifice her to open the next door. Yeesh, that still gets me. It looks so painful. And now it's time to tackle Anchordeep. Oh no, not Midas again. How much is he gonna take this time? Oh my god, did that say 1,000 coins? What? Okay, I'm ready to look. Oh no, it did say 1,000. The next room was a mini boss that gave an Eye of the Witness, But the dungeon wasn't over yet. The next boss was waiting a few rooms over, and thanks to my relic granting invincibility and tanking a few hits, I demolished the first boss. I start prepping my sacrificial lamb for sacrifice at the next door, and then head back in for round number 2 at Anchordeep. I make it to the next boss pretty healthy and take a few early hits. I get the boss to half health before dying, so I sacrifice a golden oldie and manage to just barely make it through the rest of the fight, surviving with only half a heart remaining. I groom my follower a bit more and then head straight back in. Reaching the mini-boss, this one has a pretty difficult moveset, with lots of projectiles spawning at once. I managed to get him down to a quarter of a health before taking a double hit and dying. I sacrificed another one of my oldies and finished the boss off quickly, taking no additional damage. So I continued the team member grooming process and then head straight back to take on Kallamar. The dungeon goes quickly and I reach Kallamar with 3 hearts remaining. This time he has new upgraded attacks and eventually I take a double hit and die. I don't have any more old cult members, so I sacrifice someone that grants 3 full hearts. And I think that this made me a little bit overconfident because I tanked a lot of hits trying to pump out a lot of damage and very quickly died. My first full death to the revived bishops. I level up my lamb to level 8, quickly tend to the cult, and then head back for round number 2. Along the way I find a tarot card in a mystery room, reaching 42 out of 43 collected. This time I reach the boss with 4.5 hearts remaining. I take it a bit slower this time and make a good dent in his health early before taking a triple hit, leaving only half a heart left, and then with a poorly timed roll, I die. This time I do have an old man to sacrifice, and when I revive, I light up the boss and finish him off. I accept Squidward as my follower, collect my tears, and then indoctrinate him to the cult. My lamb is almost the required level of 10, I gave him a small bribe to finish off the level to 9 and then head to Anura to tackle Heket's quest. I find Heket's throat, making 31 out of 37 relics, and then teleport home. With 16 tears, I turn a few in for rewards. No known effect. Knowledge is gained through sacrifice. I'm gonna gift it and then sacrifice that follower. Using 10 tears, I got several stones, a few pieces of jewelry, and a follower form, but not a single talisman piece. I boost my follower to level 10 and then sacrifice him to open the last remaining door and then dove straight in. Things are going well until one fateful room takes down my last 3 remaining hits. I could have sworn you could roll through those, but maybe you can't? I revive and make it to this zone's witness. The boss has some pretty scary projectiles, but playing it safe and slowly, I managed to beat the boss without taking any damage. I collect my eye and continue on. I make it to the boss battered and bruised, but alive. Things are going pretty well until I mistime a few rolls and end up taking 3 hits of damage rapidly, and since I had already used my revive, I had to accept death. Kallamar now wants me to find his relic, but I ignore him for now and head back to the Silk Cradle. I make it to the boss with almost full health. I tank a few hits to blast him down without any issues. I harvest the body for meat, mainly just to clear the space, and it unlocks a new relic. It's then time to head straight back to Silk Cradle. I made it to the boss, and his upgrade form had some really cool new moves. As a giant gross scorpion, he shot all kinds of projectiles. I eventually got too close and was finished off by a body shot. I sacrifice an old friend and jump back in. I make a valiant effort, but eventually die to a projectile. I know I said I wouldn't mention it, but look at all the quantities of items that I have from the offering tables alone. I then jump back in to tackle the boss. I make it back, this time with much more health, and this time it's personal. Right away I take him down about a quarter health, and it just doesn't stop. Let's go, is he combo locked? Come on, come on, come on. Yes! That was insane. With the mini boss decimated, I return home and then return straight back in. Oh no, not you again. I wish I could just hit him. Oh! You can. Still lost like 600 coins, but I feel a bit better about seeing you beaten up. Ooh, how did you get even more gross? I make it to the mini-boss with plenty of health. I take it cautiously for a few swings to learn his moves and eventually dive in, and with a lucky relic use that freezes time, take him quickly to half health. The room is quickly becoming overrun with stuff, but I have enough health and damage that I just focus on chasing the boss down and kill him quickly. The final bishop boss is up next. I perform a quick brainwashing ritual even though it's almost guaranteed to make my follower sick, and by doing so I was able to complete Sozo's quest, and in return I received a talisman piece, a mushroom sculpture, and one more quest. He wants me to build it at my cult to receive another reward. I gave Plimbo 2 Eyes of Witness, and in return he gave me 2 talisman fragments, which complete another full talisman. I build and construct the mushroom statue, and in return Sozo gives me another talisman piece, and then he overdoses on mushrooms. I head to the lighthouse where I finally give this guy the crystals he requested like 80 days ago, and in return I get a new follower form. I'll need to find all of these to reach 100% as well. I run behind the lighthouse and stumble on a random relic on the ground for 33 out of 37. Okay, how many forms do I still need to unlock? That is a lot more than I would have hoped for. Hopefully they're not too difficult to find. I unlock my next fleece, and then it's time to use my 10 god tiers. I hit several follower forms, which I think is a win, one talisman piece, several stones, and one additional piece of jewelry. Another sacrifice piece, it seems. It's then time to head back into Silk Cradle. With 6 full hearts when I reached the boss, I was able to fight a lot more aggressively and took out the last bishop incredibly quickly. I then threw Shamu into the void and returned home to welcome him to the cult. Returning to IDK, he says that I am now the rightful god of death and that much work is still left to be done, purgatory, and then grants me a new fleece. Credits roll again for the second time, but it's not quite the end of my journey. I still need to finish cleaning up the last few achievements. One of the most tedious tasks left is to collect all of the fleeces. With the IDK update, they added new fleeces, but not many guaranteed ways to collect talisman fragments. With 3 tiers, I decided to try my luck, and nice, a talisman piece. Only 25 more to go. I unlock a follower form, which is always welcomed, and lastly, I get a stone. I then head into Anchordeep to find Squidward's relic. And, well, I skip past it. There's a question mark room that I need to spawn to be able to finish off all of the achievements, and I avoided question mark rooms, so while I have a relic quest active, it seems like I'm more likely to see other question mark rooms to go to. Since this room was not it, I finished off the dungeon by revisiting a bishop to see if I get god tiers, and no luck. At this point, I changed the difficulty from hard to easy since I'll just be mindlessly grinding the dungeons for RNG spawns. I head back into Anchordeep, this time collecting Squidward's relic for 34 out of 37. 3 more to go. I stop by the next question mark room and don't get the one that I need, so I finish off the run and kill the end boss, and I'm granted 1 tier and 1 Eye of Witness. I accept ShamWow's request and then put on the double damage fleece to really blast through easy mode dungeons. It's then time to head to Silk Cradle for the next relic. I head to a regular question mark room, but it's not one I need, so I take out the witness at the end of the dungeon, collecting my tier and eye. Instead of leaving, I decided to see if I could get more tiers from going further in a Crusade run. I grab Shamu's skull for relic 35 out of 37, and then continue the run to the second boss, which I take down in a moderate amount of time, but unfortunately no tier. I decide to continue even further in the run, walking into the final boss room with 800% increased damage and 9 million tarot cards. The boss died in 5 hits. The game forces the run to end at this point, and I didn't get any extra tears or eyes, so I'm not going to be doing that again. I give my 2 Eye of Witnesses to Plimbo for 2 talisman pieces, and then I stop by IDK with my 2 tears for, unfortunately, 2 stones. I stop to check my follower form progress, and it looks like I have 7 remaining to unlock after getting some from IDK. I then jump into Darkwood looking for question mark rooms. I find one, but unfortunately it's not the one I need, so I finish off the boss quickly and grab my tier and eye and then jump right into Anura. I find a question mark room, but also unfortunately this one is not the right one either. I finish off the dungeon for the final Eye of Witness and then leave. With 2 more tiers and a prayer, I give them to IDK for 2 stones. I give the eyes to Plimbo for 2 more talisman pieces. I turn the 1 full talisman in for another fleece, making 7 out of 11. I put back on my double damage fleece. I gift a follower the light necklace and then promptly sacrifice them. All right, let's see what's gonna happen. Normal so far. Whoa, that's Ball. Welcome, my friend. It's then back to Darkwood. Mystery room 4,000,000,001, please let it be. Yes, this is it. I need his challenge to be able to get the last tarot card. All right, so I have to take no damage in the next 3 combat rooms. And literally the next combat room I take damage. Woof. So I finish the run and leave. I jump back in and had no luck with the room, so I finish the run and then head right back in. And still no luck. I gift a follower the dark necklace, and it's a bit too early for another sacrifice, so I'll wait. Going back into Darkwood, I still don't have any luck, so I decided to shorten my runtime by completing only the first floor, and if I don't get the needed room, I retreat out. This shortens each run to around 1 minute, so I do this several times. Please, please, please. Ah, nope. I'm able to perform a sacrifice again, and in return, Aim joins my cult. This part I got a little bit of help on. It requires you to turn Ball and Aim into demons, and then on a crusade run, head to the market with this cat, who turns out to be their mom. In return for reuniting them, she gives you a relic for each one, which completes a hidden achievement and gives me 37 out of 37 relics for another achievement. I check my followers and I'm still missing 7. I catch this crab at Smuggler's Sanctuary for 1. In Midas's cave, I come across the creature that wanted a fish before, and this time he asks for a follower, and without hesitation, I yeet one over in exchange for a talisman piece. Behind a pile of gold, I find another follower form, meaning I'm only missing 5. I find a snail statue that I make a shell sacrifice to, and then back at Spore Grotto, I give another snail a shell, and then take a moment to pity Sozo. Oh my, that's a pity. He overdid it. He didn't know his limit. I give a shell to statues in Pilgrim's Passage, Smuggler's Cove, and Lonely Island, and in return, I get a follower form. I decided to give Darkwood another try. Please, I beg, yes! Okay, please be an easy one. Easy. Okay, that's very doable. It indeed is. I tackle the 3 rooms, and Ratatouille appears and grants me my last missing tarot card. I spend the next night catching butterflies, and then in the morning I head back to Darkwood because I need to find one more event. Luckily, this one is a bit more common, and it only takes 3 times to be able to find. I have to hit this snail enough to make poor Rakshasa mad, and then I have to fend him off. In return, he gives me a design for a massive monster shrine, which I build and construct. I unlock my 8th fleece, and then catch a few butterflies, pray at the monster shrine, which gives me another follower form. I then meet with the wolf one more time, and he wants 2 followers, or half a heart from me, which I agree to losing a half a heart, and in return, I get another talisman piece. I cook up 12 bowls of poop, and in return get a follower form and several sick cult members. The cult eats the poop and loses absolutely all faith in me. I run to perform an emergency ritual, which restores it to full. I meet with the wolf one last time for a final deal. This time he wants Ratatouille's life, which I feel bad about, but obliged to. Oh no, I'm so sorry, but I have to. In return for showing my true skin, he grants me a wolf follower skin and a talisman piece. I head back to the cult and catch more butterflies, which gives me my last missing follower form and grants the achievement. There are now 2 achievements remaining, and Purgatory will be the key to both of them. Each day I can do only 1 run in Purgatory. Each newly cleared boss will grant 1 god tier and god tier fragments throughout the run. I need to use god tiers to get 10 more talisman pieces to finish unlocking all fleeces. I must complete an entire row with 1 fleece, so each day I will enter, make my way to the boss, kill it, and then wait. And then finally rinse and repeat for days 123, 124, and 125, where I finally completed the achievement for a full row in Purgatory. And that leaves only 1 achievement left, the fleeces. I need 10 more fragment pieces and only have 13 tiers to get them in. And you wouldn't believe it, because I have some insane luck. The first tier is a follower form, and then every other one is a talisman piece. Just kidding. Instead of being at the mercy of a 1 out of 4 chance, if a tier gives anything other than a piece, I exit and reload. Once I get a talisman piece, I saved and repeated until I had all of the talisman pieces that I needed. And finally, I have become nothing short of a god, completing 100% of Cult of the Lamb. Overall, I loved the experience, and I can't wait to see what else they bring to the game. I end my journey with over 2,000 coins, 149 gold bars, 1,500 logs, 255 refined logs, 1,500 stones, 200 bricks, and loads of meat.